What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Another short video today, I guess. They haven't been very long lately. I haven't had big projects to do, but just a quick install. We're going to do a roll-up bed cover. So this is from Trail FX, and this is specific to my truck, but this video will kind of be a quick explanation of how these covers work and how to install them. They're pretty simple. This shouldn't take me more than an hour to do, so hopefully not more than about a 10-minute video. First thing I have to do is get this thing unboxed, and then we'll go over the parts and the instructions and start putting it on the truck. Alright, so here is the meat and potatoes of our roll-up bed cover. Like I said, this one is from Trail FX. I've never installed a Trail FX before, but these were on sale, so this is what I went with. You can see there's a rubber flap here. This is going to seal to the front of the bed. This rubber seal will seal to the tailgate. And then we have our two rails that run up each side. Now the only thing that's going to be weird about this installation is what kind of bed you have. There are shims that can be installed. When you set the rail on here, it needs to be level so that the bed can roll in and out like this. So depending on your truck, there are 4 shims here that you can use to level your side rails, and these are the clamps that hold it on. So the first step is to lift that into there, which is going to be a little bit of a struggle by myself because it's pretty heavy, but I'm going to get it set up there, and then we can start installing our rails. Alright, now that we have the canister set in place, you need to make sure that your rubber seal is sitting on top of the front of your bed. Now I'm going to have to do a little trimming here because this isn't really meant to fit with these bed caps. No big deal, we should be able to make it work. So the next step is to slide our rails into the canister and get our clamps on. Alright, we have our bed rails laid out here, and you can see this is the front stop. Now these have the option to add extra stops if you want the bed rail to stop halfway or 2 feet from the tailgate, and I'm going to install these, and once the rails are in, we'll measure for their location. And all you need to do with this is slide it in, and then we will locate these, and they just have little self-tappers that you install once the bed rails are secure. So here we are on the truck bed, and I'm trying to get a good light on this. So the rail slides into the canister here, and you tighten this bolt. Now what I found is because my bed caps are a different width, I had to loosen all the bolts, which there's 3 of them, down the side of the rail. And what I'm going to have to do is pull the cover all the way out, make sure everything's square, and then tighten everything back down. It's kind of a pain, but it's what we got to do. Alright, so the next step is going to be to install our clamps. Now on this particular bed, you can see the rail is tipped down, so I need to shim it up like this. Using one of these rubber shims behind the clamp, that's how we're going to achieve that. So I'm going to try to set up the camera so that you guys can watch me do this. Alright, now I have the clamp sitting in place. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the rear before I tighten anything up. We also need to measure from here to the center of the clamp should be 12 inches, and from the tailgate to the center of the clamp should be 12 inches on the backside. You can see I've slightly closed the bed cover, and the reason for that is the rails aren't fitting very good, which is something you're going to run into depending on which bed rail caps you have, bed liners, and so on. So I've rolled it closed a little bit before I tighten the clamp on the front on each side, just to make sure that everything is staying somewhat square. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. We're gonna do the same on the other side. So still fighting this scenario real quick, I've closed it all the way to tighten my rear clamps on the bottom. And you can see it's starting to hold this rail flat, which is what you want so that everything seals up good. Now once I have the inside clamps tight, I have to come underneath and tighten the rails. There's 3 bolts on each side, and you need to do that with the bed cover closed. That's what the bed cover tracks on. So once I get the rear clamp tight, I'm gonna tighten these 6 bolts. All right, so after a little bit of fighting, we have the rails installed, the clamps are tight, the inner rails are tight. Now what I need to do is measure for my secondary locks, and you can put those wherever you want. I'm just gonna kind of wing it and install them with the self-tapping screws. So how I'm setting up my secondary latch points is measuring inside here, and I'm gonna go 16 inches to the leading edge of this and screw it into place. I'll do that the same on both sides, and then another one up a little bit further. Everything was going along smoothly until I tried to close the tailgate. And what I'm running into is the bed cap here on the back on a Denali is rather large, and it's hitting our rail system. So what I actually have to do is come in here and trim this corner off, which is really no big deal. I'm going to remove this from the truck and trim it over on the table. And I took the back tailgate liner off as well because I thought it was hitting. I think it'll clear. I'm going to trim this first and get it to fit, and then we'll put the bed liner back in and see what we're dealing with. Okay, again, after much fighting, I got these trimmed. I just need to get the little piece of double-sided tape out of here. Everything fits. The next step is going to be to trim back this weather strip. I'm not really sure why they leave it long like this. I'm guessing in case your bed spreads at the back, you have to trim this accordingly. So I'm going to just do that with a razor blade. Alright, so the next part's kind of fun. We have to put in drains. Now these go on the bottom of the canister through the bed floor. They can go out the side if you want. I always prefer to put them down. So what you have to do is look under the truck, make sure that you're not going to drill in anything important. Brake lines, fuel lines, muffler, exhaust, whatever, and pick your spot and drill a hole for this tube to go through. This side of the hose clicks into the bottom of the canister, and then your install is complete. Alright, so that pretty much completes the installation. Now, not every bed cover is going to be exactly the same. Some are going to have different clamps. Some don't have the stops where you can stop the cover, 2 or 3 different lengths back into the canister. So, just a kind of a general video of how to install one of these. Now, by myself, this took me about 3 hours, but I had to do some trimming like I talked about before. You can see that here. So hopefully you guys don't have a big issue installing these. If you have 2 people, it's definitely a lot easier. But about a 3-hour install for something like this. Now the advantage to this is if you lock your tailgate, you can't get into it. So everything in your bed is going to be secure. And I like the idea of having a nice aluminum sturdy cover that rolls up into a canister and doesn't take up a lot of room in your bed either. Don't forget, everyone, you can always find high PSI TV merchandise. There's a link in the description below for hats, shirts, sweatshirts, stuff like that. And keep following the channel. We're going to get back on the Packard this weekend. It's supposed to be nice out, so I plan on spending a lot of time out here. Racetracks and everything are still closed because of the coronavirus, so I'll be out here working. If you guys have any questions about this, be sure that you comment below. I try to answer every question that you guys ask. And as always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.